our way. In every single chapter, we're here to stay. Breaking down plays.
Hello and welcome to the Chasing the Highlights podcast. And boy, we have a show for you guys today. My name is Lonnie Washington, along with Tony Robinson. How you doing, Tony?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, we had kind of a whirlwind over the last weekend, preseason game number 2 for the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, this is going to be a heavily dominated conversation today regarding, Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, the Cleveland Browns. All the other preseason games don't really matter, to be honest with you, because this is the story that has been dominating the whole weekend. It's been kind of dominating all of camp. It's been dominating the preseason. And so we're going to get right into it. So first of all, I want to start off by saying that we already kind of, obviously, if you've been watching this thing from a Cleveland Browns perspective, the Deshaun Watson and the Shedeur Sanders battle has been just wild. We knew this going on since last year, that this was probably going to be a possibility in a battle through camp. So, the first preseason game, of course, Deshaun Watson started. I thought he did a really good job, and I always thought that this was his job to lose after that. Then the second preseason game came this weekend with the Bills, and Shedeur Sanders went out there and had a great outing. He looked really sharp out there against a good Bills defense. And but the Bills won the game 31-7. Sanders was 9 of 11, 74 yards passing, 1 TD, 1 INT. Watson was 5 of 12, 36 yards, 1 INT. He didn't look good at all. And then things got a little wacky after that. When you start looking after the game, all this stuff kind of transpired after the game. But before we get to that part, what I want to do is I want to show you over the last 3 weeks, me and Tony, we have been talking about Deshaun Watson and this quarterback battle, and I'm going to show you what we both had to say. So sit tight. I'm setting this thing up so we can go back into actually what's going on right now. But over the last few weeks on Chasing the Highlights, we've had this discussion numerous times. And then here's what I had to say on the previous Chasing the Highlights last week. I think this job is Watson's to lose at this point. Other than I think it's Watson's job to lose, and I'm going to stick with that because I think he's the veteran. He's picked up this offense a little faster than Shedeur. I think that he's going to make solid decisions, and then you're going to need a guy early on that's going to come in and just run the offense, move the ball down the field. When chaos starts, he's got the experience and the cool head to be able to make some plays for you guys, and I think you guys might need that to start off the season. Going to Jacksonville first game, going to be tough.
Cool head. I don't know. The last few years, he hasn't shown me he had a cool head. To me, he hasn't done.
You haven't seen him in 2 years. He's gotten married since then. He's gotten married since then. He's humbled himself since then. There's a lot that's going on in that brain of his that I think that he had to work out, that he wasn't ready for when he first came to you guys. I think he might have worked some of those things out now, almost 4 years later. So we'll see.
I mean, hopefully he did. I mean, but I just know that being for 2 years.
All right, so that was kind of a little back and forth that me and Tony had last week about Deshaun Watson, what I felt and what I thought that was going to be happening to this race, right? I see you looking, Tony. So that was very back and forth, and that has always been my opinion since. All right, I look at things a little bit differently. Tony has his own opinion, but he's a fan. 46 years, right, Tony? You've been a fan. So with that being said, I'm going to go back also a couple of weeks ago and what Tony had to say about this potential quarterback battle. So take a listen to this.
Moving forward, it's like, okay, I understand that he's making a lot of money, and the ownership feels like they have to like play him. Or I think it's also because he's been helping out the team with their bring more people in with financial, restructuring his contract and different stuff like that to make it, he's kind of like a part of the ownership because he kept doing that over the years, stuff like that. So that's the only reason why I feel like they would start Watson, because he's been helping out the team with the contracts and, restructuring contracts and stuff like that to open up money for other players and stuff like that to make the team better. At that point, you're like almost like a partner for the Browns. Like he has ownership, by doing those kind of deals for me. mentally, that's what I think about when it comes to that, because the ownership is like, I want him to start. It's constantly all about Watson, but I feel like they don't want somebody getting, making $40 million a year sitting on the bench. If we're gonna pay you this money, you're gonna play. That's the other.
Wow, that was Tony. You had that to say too, and I know that in saying that you were kind of saying really what you really felt from taking the fan part out of it, right? Taking your fan part out of it. You said what you said, right? That is on tape. We both have put this on documented tape from previous shows. Okay. So now after the Bills game, you have this thing where Sanders looked good. Deshaun Watson didn't look good. Totally different flip from the Bears game. And so everybody kind of thought, you know what? Now, this lightning and everything that happened before the game with the hour delay and everything was just kind of totally crazy. So now everybody's saying, oh, well, we think that if it's a tie, which we believe that Shador looks better. But then there was another component. When Watson came into the game there, in the second half to play, Browns fans booed Watson as he took the field in the second half. And this is where all the drama kind of unfolded after that. He didn't look good. And then after the game, Watson has some choice words to say. And I'm going to give you this interview right here, what Watson said after the game that kind of threw this thing into a whole media frenzy over a 36-hour period until a starter was actually named. So this is, if you haven't seen it before, this is the interview about a minute or so of what Watson had to say after his bad performance and getting booed by the fans in Cleveland.
The big thing is, I think you guys know too. I think the whole world knows. It has nothing to do about the performance. It's a little bit personal than that. So I think it's a disrespectful thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep whatever I feel with me and my family internally, how I feel about that. Yeah, so we won't.
But don't you think, Deshaun, that winning and playing better would eliminate some of that booing?
Last time I played on that field, I tore my Achilles. And that same fan base, they cheered when I got hurt. So, does that have to do with? What does that have to do with anything about performance? When a person get hurt, especially for their own city, and they cheer.
Does any of that make you regret coming here?
Nah, I don't regret anything in my life. I think the Lord put me through situations for a reason. So I don't regret anything at all. But I had different thoughts of how it was going to be, but it is what it is. Sometimes the tables turns. And, I'm patient enough because I'm a child of God to wait for that time to change. So I'm not tripping.
Yeah, and there you go. I mean, you'll be able to hear it. Typically on the podcast, you should be able to hear this. We weren't able to hear it that loudly here, but you should have been able to hear it at home. But yeah, so Deshaun Watson said what he said. He basically said that, hey, it's personal, and that he thinks that the Browns fans, of course, they don't like him, but it's not about football. It's personal. So he actually took a shot, a big swing at the fans. He said that they booed him when he went down and hurt his Achilles. He said that they booed him. He took an exception to that, and that he actually let them know. He thought he had got past that by doing things within the community and everything like that. So, this was kind of like a nuclear bomb in a sense of football terms, not literally, that kind of set a whole media wave off. A lot of people that commentated on this from the highest points of everywhere, and that was courtesy of Akron Beacon Journal, by the way, the Deshaun Jackson interview. A lot of people were upset about that. The fans said there is no way that the Cleveland Browns at this point could have Watson in this locker room. He could not be on this team. Fans were from some media outlets said that they should boycott the Cleveland Browns and all this crap. And we thought that come Monday that things were going to be different, that the Browns are going to definitely name the starter Shador Sanders. But Tony, I must say to you, here it goes. Yesterday, the Cleveland Browns named Todd Monken came out and named the starter for the Cleveland Browns will be Deshaun Watson. After all that setup that I told you, after all the people that thought that Shedeur Sanders had this job after that interview, and Tony, I know you were probably one of the guys that were saying the same thing, that you believe that this was now Shedeur Sanders' job. You believe he won the job flat out. You believe that there was no way they can give him this starting job after that interview and after just what you saw with your eyes for the last couple of preseason games. But here we are. And when I text you in bold letters yesterday, Tony, and told you that Deshaun Watson was the starter, my friend, I'm not quite sure, but what was your reaction after that? And what do you think about them naming the Deshaun Watson the starter? I know that was a big setup 10 minutes in, but I think it was important for you guys to hear what we said on this podcast, what actually transpired, and then what the Cleveland Browns did yesterday that set everything into motion that we have here today. So, Tony, give me some of your thoughts about them naming Deshaun Watson the starter, and then you can even reference back some of the things you said early on in the podcast that I just showed.
Yeah, that was the first part that you showed was a small snippet of like everything we talked about on that podcast. But yeah, I mean, that's how I felt. I felt that because of the money that's involved and like how many times he restructured his contract for the team and stuff like that, I felt like in my mind, who am I? I'm just a guy trying to do a podcast here, right? So, but it's like, but when you think about it, take the fandom out of it. When you think about the business side is like, okay, the ownership or whoever it is wants to give him another shot because he's been like the models, for the organization. He's helped the organization out to restructure his contract to get more money, to bring more pieces in to make the team better and stuff like that. And maybe they're thinking like, okay, he helped us do this. So, and now we have these nice pieces around him. Let's give him another shot and see what he does. The first games or whatever, first 2 games. I think it's only 2 games, but we'll see. But
I might be wrong about that too.
I just feel like, they have to do it because they want to save face because of the bad contract. We know about the bad contract and stuff like that. And the fans are a little in an uproar about it. I mean, it's understandable because he hasn't done anything. That's where it lies. It's not even. I guess it could be. He said it's personal, and I mean, he's partially true about it, But it's like if you play well, we won't boo you. That's what it comes down to. At the end of the day, you play well, you won't get booed. That's what anybody that plays in the NFL. Not even just the Browns. If you look at every single team. You get a bad quarterback out there not doing what he's supposed to do, you're gonna get booed. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Watson's response. I mean, he spoke from his heart. I mean, I think most people would say something like that because he got booed when he got injured. He got booed when he came out. Not knowing, not people not thinking about all the stuff that he did for the organization, restructuring the contract and all that stuff like that. But I feel like, I didn't like the fact that they booed him when he got injured because being an ex-athlete, I would never boo somebody, even if it was my worst arch enemy when I was playing against, I would still not celebrate or clap that he's hurt. You know what I'm saying? I want to play against the best, right?
Yeah.
And for them to like, boo him when he got hurt or celebrate and stuff like that, that's crazy. That's Bush League to me. But to answer your question, like I told you before, I'm going to support the QB1 until he proves me wrong. He has to go win 2 games in a row on the road in order to come back to be the starter at home. Because if he's not 2-0 and have a substantial, like, if he doesn't bring, they still want to see the Houston Deshaun Watson, but he's far removed from that. Let's manage the game, run the ball heavy, don't have him throwing over 25 passes a game and stuff like that. We have to like make sure that we set him up for success. Just like if Shedeur was in there, right? If Shedeur was in there, we would take it slow at the beginning because these are 2 tough teams we're playing against. So take care of the ball, Hopefully our defense can get some turnovers and stuff like that. So what they need to do is just take it slow with him. Don't try to make him out to be Houston Deshaun Watson. We living in the past too much. Every single year, we're always thinking about Deshaun Watson as Houston Deshaun. We need Cleveland Browns Deshaun Watson to be out there. So it's a totally different scenario here. I'm tired of hearing about Houston. Like Houston he's not that anymore. So especially with 2 ACL tears, you know, I mean, not ACL, Achilles tear. Sorry.
Achilles, yeah.
So it's like you got to get past it. You know, at the end of the day. What do you think about that?
Man. Well, I had a podcast, Lonnie and Friends, that I kind of talked a little bit about things, and everybody wrote Deshaun Watson off. The 36 hours after that interview, everyone wrote. I mean, I'm from RG3, and I'm naming them all. RG3 and everybody else that wrote him off and said that he can never play another game in Cleveland after that interview. He cannot do this. He cannot do that. They wrote him off. Everybody. The fans of Cleveland calling in to all the podcasts, all the national shows, they calling into the podcast. They says, no way, he can't start. We want Shedeur Sanders, blah, 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 because he felt a certain type of way. And I thought it was good to get this off of his chest instead of harboring those feelings. And even though that he had a press conference yesterday after being named the starter and kind of rolled that back and said, yeah, he got a little bit into his feelings. Those are the things that he had to say. But what he said was real. Don't make no mistake about it. It was real. That was real time there. And I think for a fact, I said to you that they had to put him in there to be the starter because he's a veteran and he would play better on the road. Monken kind of mimicked the same thing that I said is why he's the starter. The same thing I said is why on the road on Jacksonville, on the road to Tampa Bay. And I don't think that he's got to be 2-0 coming back home. I don't think he has to. If he plays well enough to win, and you guys lose on the road because of a defensive issue.
If he goes 0-2,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he goes 0-2. These are two good teams that he's playing against.
I just know Cleveland.
Well, let me just say this: Monken
doesn't play well.
But Tony, Monken did not say this yesterday. They said, "Hey, this is just a trial, or this is something you're just doing for now, and then seeing what happens." He says, "No, we named him the starter because we believe that he give us the best chance to win now. This is not something that's a temporary thing." Now, he could say something different after if they get beat by Tampa. But if he goes 1-1 on the road, he gets a third and fourth game again. I think he gets 4 games out of this.
Yeah, I mean that's a good assessment, but think about this. If they go 0-2 and he plays like trash, there's no way that he's gonna shoot. After the first game, he played like trash. Like I feel like there's no way he makes it back to the third game when we play at home, because if he plays like trash, they can be like, "Oh, we told you so, boo, get him out of here." That's just how Cleveland is. Like, you have to produce. If you produce, not just Cleveland, all teams feel this way. I'm sure the Commanders will say the same thing. Like if your boy Jaden Daniels start messing up, if he start messing up, like, what's going on here, boo? You know they'll get to that point. Not gonna do that. But we know Jaden Daniels is good. We know Jaden Daniels is good, but I'm just saying, like, if it ever happened to anybody's team, it would be like that. So,
well, here's my problem, Tony, and I'm gonna tell you my problem is, you better hope that you can get at least half a season out of Deshaun Watson before you decide to put Sanders in. And here's the reason why: once you decide to throw Deshaun Watson out of the starting lineup, say after game 2, you're never going to put him back in the game again. So you got Shedeur Sanders in the game, and all of a sudden, God forbid, Sanders gets hurt. Who's your next person that you're putting in after Sanders? Who's your next guy? No, I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me right.
Because that old boy Dylan Gabriel got to go.
I want you to say the name that is going to be the backup of Shedeur Sanders if after game 2, Deshaun does not work out. Who is the next guy after Sanders and Sanders gets hurt? Who's that next guy after Sanders that's still on the team that is going to take over if Sanders happen to go, God forbid, not wishing anything on nobody. But who is your other option after Deshaun Watson doesn't play well and then Sanders in the game? Who's your backup? Who's on the roster right now that's your backup?
Watson will be my backup.
No, you can't go back. You're not going back to Watson. You're not. Watson don't want to play no more. Watson is saying to you guys, forget you guys. You guys took me out the game. I don't want to play for you guys no more. I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to help the young guys play. Who's the next guy? Who's that third string guy as of right now on the roster?
Currently, it's a name that I want to mention, but
Go ahead, say it.
he should be gone. Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan,
But
thank you.
Taylor Green is my third string.
Dylan Gabriel, the dink and dunk guy that is on your team that nobody wants to see at all. But if you take Watson out the game after the second game because of play or whatever, even if injury, if he gets hurt, God forbid that anyone gets hurt. But now you've got the potential of Dylan Gabriel coming in this game or playing early in this season, and at this point it's tank mode. At this point it's totally tank mode. If something happens, if Watson doesn't play well, and then you have all this going on, it's tank mode. So my point is to you that I don't believe that Deshaun Watson, I think he's going to get more than 2 games because you have 2 tough games on the road. Now remember, you guys have this easiest schedule in the NFL. The easiest schedule in the NFL. Yes, it is. Go look it up. The Cleveland Browns have the easiest schedule in the NFL. Okay, based off wins and losses of the teams that they played from last season, and then you guys have a lot of revamped skill in the skill positions, right? Skill positions. You have a lot of different, better wide receivers, right? And so you've got an upgraded wide receiver room. You still have Jerry Jeudy there, the veteran. You still have a really good tight end. You have Jenkins there as a running back. Right, you have a pretty good first string line. Beyond that, I've got questions about that. If anybody goes down on the first string line, so you still have a lot more pieces. Deshaun Watson have better pieces now than he had when he first came to Cleveland as a quarterback. So all that is true, my friend. And so I would say to you that I got to give him more than 2 games because those 2 games are road games and they're tough games. These teams are playoff type teams that he's playing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I said that to you yesterday on our call. I mean, yeah, I do. That's why I feel like he should be just a game manager. We don't need him to be Deshaun Watson Houston. If he comes in, manages the game properly, that's all we need from a veteran quarterback. He doesn't have to, run the ball and do all the stuff that he used to do in Houston. And I see him doing it in practice. I'm like, we don't need that read option and run the ball. Like, we don't need that from you. You need to just sit in the pocket, throw the ball. If somebody's coming at you, throw it away, get out of, whatever you got to do. But to your point, like, we do have all the pieces that they put around. And that's why I feel like that's why they wanted to give him a chance, because he probably helped in some of that with his restructuring of his contract. But a lot of people what I'm hearing from the Browns organization, like the Browns groups that I'm in, they're saying like, they're tanking for, the Texas Longhorns quarterback. And I'm like, here we go again with the grass is greener on the other side kind of mentality when it comes to quarterback play. We have our future in our quarterback room right now, but we keep like looking. I'm not sure that's true. We keep looking to the future, where we keep looking to the draft in order to find somebody that we may not ever get. And it's like, that's why we've been on this carousel of quarterbacks, because we keep looking instead of developing our quarterback that we have. And that's why I say I hope Monken can actually stay, because he's his offensive scheme and has shown that he can do good things in the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens. So I mean, I feel like if we have our guy, if we pick a guy like Shador, like somebody, the young guys that come in and stick with them, we can get something out of this into a year or two. You know what I'm saying? Just constantly going into the draft and getting somebody because they're the top quarterback isn't always conducive to transferring over to the NFL. That's the big key that a lot of Browns fans miss. They want, and a lot of them want somebody palatable to what they look like. They don't want to. I feel like it comes down to like black versus white quarterback. A lot of times in Cleveland, they want somebody that's more like laid back and stuff like that. You almost says almost curse, but I'm like, because I get pissed off because I see it a lot. They treat certain quarterbacks differently than others, and that's why they want to go after the Manning kid out of Texas. It's like they want somebody palatable to them, but the owner also knows him too. He's a family friend of the Manning family, so it's like there's a lot of different things that plays a factor into all this, and like how the Browns like beat writers and so-called fans come out. I can see it in the comment section, like how they go, and they're bringing up stuff when he was in Colorado, like, oh, he's trash because he didn't play against good teams in Colorado. Like, come on, man, like he had the worst line in college football and still did what he did. And it's like, anyway, it's just a lot of.
I think the Browns should call the 49ers and offer a second or third round pick for Mac Jones. Now, I put this on the Lonnie and Friends podcast, and a lot of response that I got back was actually like, yeah, that doesn't seem like a far-fetched thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when I'm thinking is, and this is piggybacking, you set this up for me, Tony. You just set this up for me because you said everybody think the grass has always been on the other side, and they might be tanking for this Manning kid. But, okay, a second or third round pick for a Mac Jones, an experienced guy who went 6-2 last year when Brock Purdy was hurt. The 49ers kept them in the playoff hunt, played basically with wide receivers off the street. All right. And he came in and won games for the 49ers. Looked very, very good. Okay. Got experience, a former first round guy with New England, revamped his career over in San Francisco. And they can't keep him past this year because they would have to franchise him. He had a 2-year deal with them. And I'm going to tell you right now, he is a starting quarterback in the NFL right now, sitting over there on the San Francisco 49ers as a backup. You get Mac Jones in here for the 49 from the 49ers to this team for a second or third round pick. One, you preserve your 2 first-round picks. You're not trying to run and try to get one of these rookies that's coming out that you don't know the unknown if they're going to be good or not, kind of rebuilding, but you get an experienced guy that can come in and command a veteran. Experienced guy, live arm, big quarterback, have a lot of experience with Bill Belichick and the Patriots, went over to the Shanahan team, and now he's coming back out. This is what Baker Mayfield did. Went over to Sean McVay, another guy from the Shanahan tree, and now he's that guy who he is now. You get a Mac Jones on this team, and I think that this Cleveland Brown team is a whole different team. You're not dealing with the Shedeur Sanders. What if? If he can't beat out Deshaun Watson, he's definitely not going to beat out a Mac Jones. So Mac Jones is pretty good. All right. Smart guy, bright. He can make all the throws. He's going to pick up this offense just like that. And I think that if you guys are smart, you've been on the phone already with the 49ers.
But it sounds like you're saying Shadeur's not smart. When you say that, when you say
I said smart guy. I said smart guy. I complimented Mac Jones.
So you're saying that Shedeur can't beat him out, and then you say he's smart and all this stuff. Like, so
Shedeur can't beat out Mac. Shedeur Sanders is not better. Let me put this on record before you even start. Shedeur Sanders is not a better quarterback than Mac Jones. I'm going to put that out there. He can't even beat out Deshaun Watson on a one-on-one. Can't even beat him out. And he is definitely not beating out a Mac Jones. Shedeur Sanders,
he actually beat him out.
Like, he's not a better quarterback than Mac Jones.
For Deshaun Watson being a veteran and seeing what Shedeur did, he beat him out because Deshaun Watson should have ran away with it. If you want to say that, like, to me, I would bring a Mac Jones in if we release Deshaun Watson today. I would go get Mac Jones to have a.
I'm getting them. If it does not work out,
if he comes over this year as a backup, he's gonna be a backup until Shedeur proves or doesn't prove.
Not happening
this year is what I'm saying. If
Mac Jones will start.
No, he wouldn't. He would have to learn the offense first. He would start.
He would start over Shedeur Sanders if they brought Mac Jones over there right now. No. He would start over Shedeur Sanders 1 week. 1 week into being in the building, they would give him the start because that means that they've given up a draft pick now for a starting guy. That means that they've given a second round. If they go out and get a Mac Jones for the Browns, that means that they don't have any faith in Shedeur Sanders.
We would still have 2 first-round picks, so it doesn't matter what this is like.
It would be good. It would be good, but that means that you're not pressed for a quarterback to get a quarterback in the draft next year. If you bring a Mac Jones in for a second or third round pick, it means that you're not stressed to get one of these rookies. And if you do go spend the first round for a rookie, you don't have to play him right away because you've got a Mac Jones that can come in and play.
Yeah, I'm not a Browns fan that's going to have the grass is always greener mentality. So I like to develop what we have because we drafted him, even though he didn't go where he should have. But the one person I don't want to develop, and it's like remnants of Stefanski, is your boy Dylan Gabriel. And I want to get rid of him so fast. Like, he needs to go to Atlanta. I mean, as a person, he's probably great. And it's sad that he had to be put in this situation with the Stefanski, drama and stuff like that. But it's just like that thing that's there is like always reminding you of the old coach or the old girlfriend or whatever. It's like, get out of here, pretty much.
Yeah, and so one of the things that everybody's talking about that nobody really thought about when they got crazy over the weekend about Deshaun Watson and his press conference, the fans went crazy, but they don't know the backstory. I explained this on Lonnie and Friends, the backstory. If the Browns let Deshaun Watson go this year, they owe $127 million a dead cap hit, okay, if they cut Watson prior to June 1st. So the impact would be that the Cleveland Browns would have no money at all to spend on anyone the rest of this season if they cut Watson before June 1st, 2027. Now, if they cut him after June 1st, 2027, they can take about $83 million, minus out the $40+ million that they owe Deshaun Watson. They can take that $83 million dead cap money and spread it over 2 seasons. Okay, that's the big deal. Taking it, getting the hit all at once, because as soon as they let, and this is because all the things that you said before, Tony, because of the restructuring of his contract, they now have this $127 million dead cap hit because they kept kicking the can down the road, and now they're in this position they can't cut him at all this year until after the season, after June 1st, in order to help them get some to distribute this money between 2 seasons.
I thought they said by March. It was like March something, but it was like a little sooner than that.
They can't do it until June 1st, 2027. And I studied this, looked it up, so I know that's a fact. So the other thing is that let's talk a little bit about on the effect that this is going to really have, this decision is really going to have on the QB2. All right, the QB2. So, and I say QB2, and he is now the QB2. Shedeur Sanders is QB2. Tough to talk about, but it's the reality of what we're doing, right? And so, Tony, now seeing that he is the QB2, what do you think that his mentality has to be? And Munkin said he had a long conversation with Sanders, and Sanders, you kind of understood the situation and everything. He understood where he was, and we're not a fly on the wall to know what was said in there, but we got to take Munkin at face value of what this looks like. So what do you think how do you think that this is going to affect Shedeur moving down the road? Do you think it's going to affect him in any kind of way, or is he going to hope for something bad to happen for Deshaun Watson?
I think he's a pro's pro because he's well groomed by his dad. His dad probably told him, like, just go in there, be supportive to Deshaun Watson, do what you got to do to be prepared and stay ready. That's pretty much, I'm sure that's what his dad told him. Like, this is the NFL, this is the business, this is what is going to happen. Just be there to support him. Like, the quarterback room, what we see what we talk about on the outside is not what they think in the quarterback room. They all support each other. Just being completely like real about it. You may see us Browns fans like getting pissed off and stuff like that, but they actually support each other a lot. And with Dylan Gabriel, all those guys, they support each other, right? And I just feel like he's just going to be there to support Watson, make sure he's ready, do everything he needs to do to help him be ready for the games. And that's he's a pro's pro. He, when you have a Hall of Fame, dad and stuff like that, he's cut from the same cloth. He's not going to treat Watson differently because he didn't get the spot. He's going to wait his time and always stay ready when, like Tom Brady. He looks up to Tom Brady. So Tom Brady, when Bledsoe went down, he was ready and he popped in there. So that's how I feel Sanders is going to go.
Yeah, and Rob V6S5D chimed in and says, "I'm done with Watson. Give Sanders the lead." And I think probably about 90% of the Browns fans, well, I would say 80% of the Browns fans feel the same way.
Well, speaking as a Browns fan, Rob, I'm with you. But at the same time, it's like we still have to, as true Browns fans, and I'm a true Browns fan, 46 years, like we said before. I have to to actually support the QB1, no matter who it is. That's just how I am, how I'm cut. You know, QB1 is whoever's in there because we want them to win because we don't want any more losing seasons, right? So we have to support whoever's in there at the end of the day. If you're a Browns fan, you shouldn't have to be, you know, everything else goes out of the door because it's just entertainment at the end of the day, too, at the end of the day. So we can't make any decisions. So Watson is the guy. We have to go with him for now. And when it's his turn, we know what's going to happen. We know I don't have a watch on, but you know what's going to happen.
I think you trying to give me a cue. I guess you know. Maybe you're trying to give me a cue. Man, I don't know. Maybe you wanted to cue me in on this one. You think that when this guy finally gets his opportunity, you're going to see him doing the wrist action with the watch?
Yeah, we ain't gonna need to talk about anybody else but him.
Okay. I'm not quite sure that I'm totally bought in. And remember, when he was with Jackson State, I believe that this guy was going to be a surefire number 1, number 2 pick. He went over to Colorado, had a pretty good season, took a beating over there, but still had a pretty good season, his second season. And but then you know, when he didn't go in the first round. I know we talked about this yesterday a little bit, Tony. We didn't go in the first round. We said a lot of people got this wrong. But now we start looking back at this a little bit and seeing everything that's transpired, and it was like, well, I'm not quite sure. I thought he was at least the second round pick over Tyler Shuck. All right. Maybe he was, if he wasn't first round, he should have definitely been second round before Tyler Shuck at number 40 overall in the second round from the Saints. And then when he didn't go there, you know, he took a back seat to Dylan Gabriel in round 3. He took a back seat to Milroe from Alabama, who's now on the Seattle Seahawks. And then finally the Cleveland Browns said, hey, we got to take this guy. But they didn't want to nobody wanted to take him in the number 1 spot. But I thought for a minute that somebody's chiming in. I don't know what that means. Well, I'm a True Blue fan, 60 years.
Oh, he must be a Michigan fan or something.
Michigan fan, yeah, Michigan fan.
I think that's
Blue,
True Blue.
And then he said, you know, he's chiming in. Thanks, Rob, for chiming in. You know, what has Watson done for me lately? Nothing. Nothing. He hasn't done anything lately. And I think that's what the problem is. Everybody, this is a what have you done for me lately league. But and then you have the owner Haslam 16 months ago came out and said that we took a swing and we missed.
Yeah.
You know, Haslam said we took a swing and we missed.
That was a surprise. That was a surprise because there's so much evidence like they wanted to move on, but then they went back to him. So it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, he said we took a swing and we missed. And then here we are now, 16, 17 months later, and now he's a starter again. And I hope that, and I think it goes back to what you said, you know, Tony, $40+ million. They can't have a guy making $40 million that's healthy on the bench. Get your tail out there. Go out there and show us what you're gonna do.
Go earn that money. We're not gonna give you all this money. You just sit here on the bench and like just chill. Nah, go get that money.
Go get the money. And that's true. But you know, and then I'm looking at, and I'm kind of scared for Shedeur, because when Shedeur starts again, he's going to be compared to the young dogs out there in this league, the young quarterbacks out there in this league. And I'm not sure if he's ready for that smoke yet. I don't think he's ready for that smoke yet. Because even though he's a year, you know, when Shedeur Sanders starts, he will be compared to Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Bo Nix. Will that be fair, Tony? When Sanders finally starts this year, is it fair for everyone to compare him to these 4 dogs right now that is around the same age as him?
I don't really hear anybody comparing him because
because he's not a starter. He's not a starter yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, we're just trying to get him up and going. We don't know what we have. I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing we were talking about yesterday. We have to know what we have first before we can start comparing. For anybody can start comparing them, because we have no real sample size. We had when he played those 7 games last year, he was on a team that was tanked. That was like in the dumps. The veterans weren't playing for real, like, but he was still riling them up to get some wins or whatever. And the defense started picking up and stuff like that. But this is why this year was the year that we need to see him do something, because we have the pieces around him now. We revamped the offensive line. We, new defensive coordinator, new defensive scheme. We have all this stuff in place, but then we still sputtering our wheels. We're like, we gonna start the quarterback. It's like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? So Shedeur, he cannot be compared to these guys yet, because he doesn't have a true sample size compared to what they've done. So he's not even in comparison right now with them. So, and I don't think any Browns fan will compare them to any of these guys, because they already have a track record now in the NFL. He has a track record, but it's not that good yet, because it's not his team yet. These guys got their team like right away. They didn't have any issues with somebody starting in front of them. So that's the issue that Shedeur is having, because he has to like jump through all these hoops. With these guys, they got the opportunity right out the gate. So it's a big difference.
Well, I'm scared. I started thinking about this, and I got scared for Shedeur. If he was named the starter, or when he does start, he is going to be compared to this, because we got to take the gloves off. We got to take the training wheels off of Shedeur Sanders at some point. We can't keep saying, oh, well, he's on a bad Browns team, or he was on a. Well, you know what? Jaden Daniels was on a bad Commanders team. Caleb Williams is on a bad Chicago Bears team. Drake May was on a bad Patriots team. Bo Nix is on a bad Denver team. So these guys came in right away and made a difference and an impact. And this is why, if Shedeur Sanders was named the starter, or when he is named the starter, he is going to take the smoke and be compared all the way through to these guys. And that is a tough bar, because all these guys have either been to a Super Bowl, an NFC Championship game, or has won a playoff game.
Well,
and all in 2 seasons.
Well, to your point, like you saying that, they started off. Caleb Williams didn't start off well. His first season was bad, but all these guys you missing the point of, like, they all got the opportunity right away. They had nobody else drafted in front of them just to make them learn a lesson, is how they made it seem. They wanted them to learn a lesson and stuff like that, because of the prime equity clause in his contract and stuff like that. When Eric Dickerson said that was the reason why he failed, because the ownerships and NFL was going against him because of the clause in his contract and stuff like that. So everybody forgot about that. Everybody's forgetting about what.
But once you're a starter, you're fair game. Once you're a starter in this NFL, you're fair game.
But he's not a starter yet. You can't have this expectation about somebody when they haven't even got an opportunity to be.
This is why I did not want him to start, because I thought about this. Wait a minute. If Shedeur Sanders starts, who is he going to be compared to? Well, he's going to be in a group of these young quarterbacks that have been successful in the year 1 and 2. And I'm not quite sure that Shedeur Sanders is ready to be compared to these guys right now. And that's why I said that these guys right now, they've changed their whole franchise. And I'm not quite sure Shedeur Sanders right now can change the whole franchise of the Cleveland Browns. And this is also based on what I saw last year, too, because he did get 7 games of experience last year. So when you got 7 games of experience from the year before, that's experience. Then you come into the offseason with a full offseason, and then you don't get the starting job over people said a lesser Deshaun Watson. I got questions now. I got questions in my mind about Shedeur Sanders.
It's not the same, because if you see all the stuff that's going on with Deshaun Watson, he came onto a team that has too many issues. So when you got all this extra stuff in them, when you got a bad ownership, leadership down the line, and then you have Deshaun Watson with the bad contract, and you then Stefanski drafts a quarterback that's not even quarterback, is a seasoned backup, is what they projected him to be, ahead of Shedeur and I'm talking about Dylan Gabriel, ahead of Shedeur. Like he had to jump through so many hoops to be in the quarter to get to the quarterback value. He automatically skipped over Dylan Gabriel this year, because they see that Dylan Gabriel's not that guy over Shedeur. So Shedeur actually worked his tail off to get to where he's at. no matter what people think. Like when he gets the opportunity, he's gonna be the guy. I see Rob coming in with some stuff.
Well, Rob says I've been waiting since the Brian Sipe and the Bernie Kosar era. Woo, woo.
Yeah,
That's a long time,
that's me too. Like I remember seeing Bernie Kosar lose to the Denver Broncos. That last pass when the guy caught the ball from Denver, John Elway and all that stuff. I was a kid watching that game. I stayed up late for that game, and we still haven't. I'm not a Brian. My mom was Brian Sipe, but I was more Bernie Kosar era. So yeah, I've been waiting for the top quarterback since.
Yeah, we got to correct it too because Rob says, "Don't ever say I'm a Michigan Wolverine fan, Browns fan all day, every day, and twice on Sunday." So sorry about that, Rob. If we made
he said a blue.
He said the blue, so I mean we thought Michigan. So, but we're gonna correct the record. You didn't say it. You just said don't ever say Michigan. So that's on record. We got you. We got the correction right here for you. So thanks, Rob, for chiming in. Really appreciate your comments. So appreciate everything. Good luck to the Browns. It's going to be a little rough, but I'm still saying that once he becomes a starter, he's on my radar, and I'm going to be looking at him to be just as good as these guys because he had the hype like these guys too. He had the hype coming out last year with these guys. I thought, to be honest with you, I thought he was probably the second or third best quarterback coming out last year. But you got to remember, it wasn't a quarterback draft, so it was like 24 picks between number one and Jackson Dart.
Oh, and I wanted to touch on that too. I mean, the reason why that happened too is because I feel like the Browns knew that he wasn't going to get picked because the NFL owners and the NFL were blacklisting him. We're telling him don't draft him early and all this stuff. And that's why he failed so far. And that's why all these quarterbacks went ahead of him because there's no way, looking at the resume of Shuck and all those other guys, that he goes after those guys. It's just ridiculous. Like for him playing on a team in Colorado with a sorry line. I mean, he had, the Heisman Trophy winner, but the Heisman Trophy winner got the Heisman Trophy based on his defense and Shador passing him the ball. No matter what anybody say about it, he still got it from having a good quarterback. He wouldn't have won that award if he didn't have a good quarterback passing the ball. So,
I don't know if Shador plays like a first round pick. I look at it now. I don't know if he plays.
He was throwing to all the receivers that was on his team. It wasn't just the guy that got the Heisman. So it was a lot of different stuff going on there.
Yeah, I don't know if he plays like a first round pick. And I don't know what to think about Shador Sanders at this point. If you couldn't beat out Watson, I think he's a really good quarterback. But I think playing in the same system with his father for all of his life, when he came into a pro system, kind of hurt him a little bit. He didn't get kind of like that variety of playing in a pro style offense. And he's a gunslinger. Shador Sanders is a surefire gunslinger. That's what I really like about him. He's sneaky athletic too, where he can make plays outside the pocket and then he can throw on the run. But then sometimes those inaccurate balls come out, or he's retreating and then he's still trying to make a play down the field, and that's when he gets himself in trouble trying to do too much, because he's still got those instincts from being on the run when he played from Colorado, being under duress, trying to make plays, off schedule plays. And in the NFL, that doesn't happen, because as you start retreating, the defense starts getting tighter with your receivers. And then they're ready to they're just baiting you at that point to pick off a pass. So I think last year you saw a lot of his problems when he got sacked. He was trying to make a play off schedule, and then he would make a bad decision instead of just throwing the ball out of bounds or making the next live to see another day type of play. But he is definitely a gunslinger, and he's going to try to make that deep pass or hold on to the ball to make that electric play every time that he tries to play.
So with Sam, so let's talk about Sam Darnold, right? So Sam Darnold was one of the top quarterbacks when he came out, right? He went to the New York Jets. Take a little step, go in the time machine, take yourself back to that time. When he played for the Jets, do you think he played as a first round pick?
No.
Okay, so that's one of my points. Okay, so when you go to a top so when you go to a team that's developing and trying to rebuild, the team kind of makes you look bad. You're right. And just looking at like you have up there, Sam Darnold's journey right here. His journey didn't define him as what kind of quarterback he is. So to me, in my opinion, I feel like Shador went that last year when he came in, he was on a sorry team. So you can see that he didn't get the
reps.
He didn't change your mind to look like a first round pick because the team was declining. The team was like wasn't even trying to play, wasn't trying to win, or like they were tanking, in my opinion. But for you to say he doesn't play like a first rounder, we don't have a real sample size because of the way he played on a sorry team. Just like Sam Darnold did when he played with the Jets. And now Sam Darnold is playing with another team. He went to Minnesota, played well. He went to other teams and played well. I think Shador just needs to be in the right situation where he knows he's the guy and get the confidence going, because he doesn't know if he's the guy or not, because everybody's all, we're all stuck on Watson. And that's where I feel like it's hindering him in his development. So
the problem with your argument. The problem with your argument is that those four guys that I mentioned, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, those guys are first round picks. In their first year, they showed like they were first round picks. Even though they might have lost, they still showed that they were first round worthy picks. First round worthy picks.
They got the opportunity and they went to a team that needed a quarterback. We needed a quarterback, but they had this smart idea. Stefanski had this smart idea to go get Dylan Gabriel instead of him. If we would have just got Shador Sanders, Shador would have took over after 4 games after Flacco didn't do well. And we wouldn't have had this, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. But Stefanski, that's why he's gone. He wanted his guy, but his guy's not good. So
but to me, he still does not play like a first round pick. Even though in preseason we've seen him play, he's had some flashes. The interceptions are a little bit of alarming, to be honest with you. The overthrow and then the throwing behind, the inaccuracies and stuff like that. Those are things that NFL quarterbacks don't necessarily do with the big 5-yard overthrow against the Bears and then throwing the ball behind. Those are, if you're inaccurate in the NFL, you're going to get picked. And some people say, the wide receiver should have had that. But if you're going one way and the quarterback throws that way, you got to turn like this to try to make a play, and you got the defender on your tail. So ball placement will always be the biggest thing in the NFL. And
he has great accuracy. It's just when you don't play.
Let me just say this.
Go ahead.
56% completion rate last season in 7 games. He was 56 completion rate last season.
I gave this whole thing about that. He played with a sorry team last year, so the sample size.
How does that got to do with accuracy? What does that got to do with him being accurate?
Because it was a lot of tip balls and a lot of drops. That's
inaccurate passes.
No, it wasn't. It was passes that were thrown right to Judy in his hand in the end zone. He dropped the ball and got intercepted it. So there's a lot of things that you're missing that you're saying.
And his 2 interceptions this year in 2 games were inaccurate passes.
Yeah, I could see that, but at the same time, he's not playing with the top guys though. When you play on a team and you want to be the guy, he's going to be the guy. You have to play with the top receivers. He's not playing with the top receivers. The receivers he's playing with Larvadan. He's playing with the number 81 that caught the touchdown pass. He's not playing with Boston. He's not playing with Concepcion. He's not playing with Fannin. He's playing with backups, and you can see it. Like he's not playing with those guys, but he still has to be held to this caliber of quarterback and being accurate. But the backup receivers aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing either. Like they're not catching the ball. They're not, that pass that he got the interception. Yes, it was a little bit behind him, but they said he touched it. But I'm going to lean on the side of like he got to put the ball ahead of him, like you said, put the ball ahead of him, lead him into the. But it was somebody in front of him too when he was on that crossing route. So it was 2 guys in the middle. He was trying to squeeze it in there, but he threw it.
But there was one time, Tony, 4 years ago, and I remember this because we were talking before we even had the podcast. We've been talking for years, probably like the last 7 or 8 years. Me and you've been talking every week. And I remember when Deshaun Watson was signed and he was the next new shiny thing. You guys were elated. And I told you this shit ain't going to work out. And I'm going to say it. I did swear this shit ain't going to work out. So I did tell you that 4 years ago. And what I've said was true then. And I'm not quite sure if it's true now, but it was true then. And it was the worst. It's been the worst contract in the history of football, of
you did say
organized football.
I'll go on record. I'll go on record. He did say that.
Yeah, I did say that. And so now I feel a little bit different. And I think that he should start over Shador because there's not another viable option. All right. Mac Jones would make me change my mind. Like, Mac Jones is the better option of anybody that you currently got on your team. Watson, Shador, Gabriel, and Green. Mac Jones is better than all four of those guys put together. Okay. So my point is that now you guys have a choice. The old Deshaun Watson or a not quite ready Shador Sanders. Now Monken has saw these guys for 6 months. He saw them in minicamp. He's now seen them in preseason, and he still decided to make a decision to do this. Now I already told you that Monken probably wasn't totally and fully in control of this thing. I told you that he was probably a little puppet on the string, but they had to make it look kind of good.
Now you come back
for the whole setup. I said that.
Back over. Now you're coming back over.
I said that. But what we see up in front is probably not what's going on in the back. But Monken has come out and said that he thought that Watson was ready. And he said that the staff, he had a conversation with his staff. This is what he said.
Monken does not believe what he just said. He has to say that because ownership told him to say that. He got brought there. Monken was brought there to handle all this, be the face. And I know that he wants Shador. He wants Shador as a quarterback. He's wanted Shador since Georgia days, before he went to Jackson State. He wanted him in he said, I wanted you with the Ravens. But, they told me not to get, I don't think he didn't say they told me not to draft you, but he wanted Shador at that point on the Ravens. So this guy always wanted him. So there's no way that in my right mind, I'm thinking that he really wants Watson to start. He knows that he has his guy. So you said earlier, he sat down and talked with Shador and all that stuff. He sat there and talked to him for a long time. He probably told him, like, stay ready. We're gonna give him a shot, but we know what it is. So what he's saying?
We'll finish up with this. This is our last. We'll finish up with this. We're up against the clock. But Rob V6S5D says, I want to see what Ty Green is capable of. Yeah. They say that Sanders was working with Ty Green after practice and during practice.
I saw this, but it didn't go viral. And nobody was talking about that. So I do want to see what Ty Green can do, because Ty Green, he's Lamar Jackson 2.0. And he's taller too. He runs a 4.34. He's like 6'5", 230 pounds, whatever.
He's a project, though. He's a project,
but that's the kind of quarterback Monken really wants. He wants another Lamar Jackson. And I feel like he's sitting there, and if something comes out where they, get rid of all the guys, he's the project that I think Monken is working on, because he has a speed. Or I'm thinking, Ty Green may have to switch to like tight end or receiver or something. Because if he can, I want him to be on the field right now. That's the only way he gets on the field right now. Because there's a lot of quarterbacks that played it. Like, it was a quarterback that played at Arkansas, switched to receiver before. And I feel like he should do that because he has the speed. He can play right now, can help the team, but he wants to play quarterback. So that's where we're at right now.
All right, we got to end on that note. But Watson, the starter in Cleveland, this is going to be an interesting season. And we're going to finally, hopefully, start getting to talk about the rest of the NFL after this preseason, because the Browns have dominated the airwaves so far. But the next time that, Chasing the Highlights come on, we can start really getting into the NFL season and really start talking about all the other teams in the NFL. And the season is right around the corner. So I'm excited for this new season of the Chasing the Highlights podcast. But we have to get off the air now. My name is Lonnie Washington, along with Tony Robinson. Thank you guys for tuning in.
ex-players in the studio, ready to thrive. Friends and fans, uniting with the truth, sharing the passion, yeah, that's our proof. Chasing the highlights, where dreams come alive. Two ex-players in the studio, ready to thrive. Friends and fans, uniting with the truth, sharing the passion, yeah, that's our proof. We treasure the legends, those who paved our way. In